Hello. This is Susan Craighead with the League of Women Voters of Naperville. I believe that tonight we have an audience that is used to voting. After all, most of you are on our mailing list, so you must have some interest in the democratic process. But the details of the process can change from year to year, and let's face it, we don't always remember the details. I would also like to remind you that this may be information you'd like to share with any new or hesitant voters in your circle. Tonight, Ann Matthews and Gail Ryan of our voter service team will provide a roadmap of voting in our counties this election cycle and information about how to learn more about our candidates. We'll start with Ann.
Thanks, Susan. We're going to get our slideshow up. There we go. On behalf of Gail Ryan and myself, welcome. We appreciate you taking the time to join us this evening and to refresh your memory on voting and maybe learn a couple new things as well. So we're going to start off with an overview, and then we will leave time at the end if anyone has questions. Gail, we can roll to the next one. We wanted to start out with some statistics. I think most people understand that Naperville spans two counties, both DuPage and Will County. If you look at the first two lines, it gives you a sense of, indeed, they are very different counties. You can see the number of precincts and the number of registered voters. DuPage has about a third more of each, despite the square miles being about 330 some square miles for DuPage County and 950 square miles for Will County. So Will County still has a lot of open land, agriculture based. So we do have a different way of doing things at times, and you'll see that from county to county. So one of the things that we in the voter service group do is to monitor all of the different counties, and when we see things that are different, we want to highlight those to you, and you'll see that this evening. One of the other things I wanted to bring people's attention to is voter turnout. So what you see in front of you are numbers from the last midterm election. So we're currently in a midterm election. This was the last one. And you can see voter turnout was very consistent between the two counties at 58%. That's not a horrible number, but let's say it's you and your next door neighbor. Would you rely on your next door neighbor to vote the way you'd like you to? So sometimes the answer is going to be yes, sometimes the answer is going to be no. So really, by not voting, you're giving your power away to someone else. And we'd like to encourage people to use their own power when they vote. The other thing is we've seen both locally and on a national basis, races can turn on a small number of votes. You're looking at 20,000 votes out of millions cast in Wisconsin. You're looking at 100 votes in local races. So one vote really does make a difference. And even in a state where people seem to think that the outcome is a given, you really shouldn't stand on those laurels. Get out there and vote. And just for some other context, I just want to give people some other voter turnout numbers. So in the 2020 presidential, in DuPage, we were basically at 76% of voter turnout and 75% in Will County. So a nice number there. Again, would love to see it more in the 90s. So every vote, every percentage point we can go up would be great. But then we talk about consolidated elections, and we'll talk a lot more about that in the spring. But there we're looking at in 2021, 16.5% in DuPage, 16.75% in Will. So it's really important for those elections. And again, I won't spend a lot of time on them, but each election is important. Okay, Gail, we can roll to the next one. So what's new in 2022? First of all, let's talk about redistricting. You've probably heard that term on the news or in newspapers. Every 10 years, when we have a census, all of our districts are redrawn, and it happens at the federal, state, and local levels. We are now through that process, and this election is the first cycle where we see these new districts. Many people were surprised when they went during the primaries. They didn't recognize people's names on their ballot. And we're going to go to the next slide in just a minute, and we'll walk through where you can go on a state website to confirm exactly what districts now represent you. Another thing that is brand new for 2022 is permanent vote by mail. And so for each county, and you can go to the county website, you can go there and choose to vote by mail into the future. You don't have to do it on an election by election basis if you don't want to. That's been very popular with some of our subsets of voters. Okay, let's roll to the next slide, please. So here's a district map. This is from the Illinois Board of Elections. And if you go on there, and we will, at the end of this, we'll be sending out a handy dandy one-page handout that has important links. And this is one of them. You would go to that, follow that link, go to this page. You would enter in your address. And on the right-hand side, you would see all of the districts that represent you. You could click on that, get more information. It's very, very helpful to, again, restructure yourself onto who's representing me, what are the voices, what are the names I need to get familiar with. So let's go to the next one. And here, this is a visualization of if you had clicked on one of those offices, it will actually show you the district, and it will show you your state representative, the number, and you can go from there. So next. Some other things that are new in this election cycle. In DuPage County, and you've probably heard this by now, and many of you may have even seen the new equipment either at our roadshow or when you went to the primaries. We have new voting equipment. It's very handy dandy. It's very easy, straightforward. I think we're not hearing anything negative on it. In fact, we're hearing very good things about it. The other thing with this new equipment in DuPage County, on election day proper, you can go anywhere in DuPage County to vote. So if you happen to have a polling site that's very close to your place of work, or if you're visiting a family member in DuPage County on election day, you can vote there. You don't have to go to your assigned election poll site, which is a wonderful benefit. And returning for November 8th, 2022, we have a state holiday. We didn't have that for the primary, but it is back for this election. And stay tuned, we'll see what they do in the future. Next. So we like to start, you got to be in it to win it. So we start with registration. Where can you go to see if you're registered to vote? You can go to your county website, or you can go to vote411.org, and Gail's going to explain a lot more about Vote 411 in just a few moments. Other things that are important for you to know, there are deadlines when it comes to registration. So if perchance you're not a registered voter yet, we've missed now the mail ballot to do it by mail, but that's okay, no problem. Plenty of time, you can do it online. Through one of your county websites through October 23rd, or you can go in person, even up to election day. We do have same day registration, which is, not something you have in every state. So those are options for registration. Next slide. And so now we're registered, and now we want to vote. And in Illinois, we have lots of choices, and we're very, we benefit a lot from having the different choices. You can vote in person or by mail. In person, you can either do early voting or go to a polling site on November 8th, which is election day. Or you could do vote by mail, which you can do on a case-by-case basis, or you can sign up to do vote by mail on a permanent basis. Once you get that ballot, read the directions very carefully, fill it out, and then you can return it either via the U.S. Postal Service or a drop box. Next slide, please. Okay, so here's the vote by mail process. So the legal request date deadline is November 3rd of 2022. We would recommend that if you're going to request a vote by mail ballot, please do it by October 25th to allow the US mail to get it to you and for you to be able to get it back. So we do not encourage people to wait till November 3rd. In DuPage County, you can do any number of things for your vote by mail. You can submit an online application. You can download and print an application. You can call the election office and they will send you an application. Or if you happen to be in Wheaton, you can go into the election division and pick it up by hand. In Will County, you can also submit an online application, download and print one. You can call them. You can email them. Or if you happen to be in Joliet, you can go and pick one up there as well. Next slide. So now you have your ballot and it's time to return it. Something that's very, very important. It must be postmarked or deposited in a drop box by November 8th. Now, I will say in Will County, they close their remote drop boxes end of business on November 7th. So you could still go to Joliet on November 8th and drop that ballot in their box, which they call the Beast. But if you're doing it up here, please do that by November 7th or get it postmarked at the post office on or before November 8th. So going back, you have this ballot. As I mentioned before, please read the directions very carefully. In DuPage County, once you have it filled out, you can return it via the US Postal Service, no postage necessary, return via one of their drop boxes, drop it off at the administration building in Wheaton. You can drop it off in DuPage County at an early voting site, or you can drop it off at a polling place on election day. Now for Will County, it's a little bit different. Again, you can use the US Postal Service, no postage necessary, a drop box, which there are more remote drop boxes in Will County. You can go to Joliet and drop it off in person. A local place where we have a drop box would be the 95th Street Library. And another local place is the Fontandale Public Library in Bolingbrook. Next slide. And a couple more things before we leave the topic of vote by mail. Again, if you are interested in permanent vote by mail, there are two websites here, one for DuPage, one for Will. And as a reminder, don't feel like you have to be jotting down these websites. We will send out a handy dandy handout after this session, which will list all of these important links. Vote by mail. If it's something you haven't done before, you kind of wonder, well, is it getting to where it needs to? I don't know. How can I figure that out? Well, both of our counties have signed up for ballot tracking, which is a wonderful thing. So again, two more important links for you in DuPage County and Will County. You can track your ballot from the time that you send it to the time it gets processed. So that just gives you peace of mind that your vote is indeed being counted. And this last thing is something that we hear. I requested a vote by mail ballot, but now I want to vote in person. Can you do this? And the answer is absolutely, but you must surrender your vote by mail ballot. So, make sure you hold on to that ballot. Make sure you take it into a polling place. They will take that ballot and then you will be allowed to vote in person. Next screen. Here are just a couple pictures, visuals for you of different drop boxes. The one on the left is in the DuPage County parking lot. And the one on the right is the drop box that's actually in the 95th Street Library on 95th Street in Naperville. That's a Will County box. Next slide. Okay, so we've chosen now, we're going to vote in person. We've decided we want to do that. How do I do that? Well, in Illinois, we have early voting, which runs October 24th through the 7th. And for DuPage County, there are multiple locations you can go. Fox Valley Mall, the Islamic Center of Naperville, their 75th Street location. The Lisle Police Department, so that is a change from the primary. They moved from a rec center to the police department. The Naperville Municipal Center, and of course you can always go to the DuPage County Fairground, where they had their uber early voting there. In Will County, our closest ones are the Naperville Municipal Center, the 95th Street Library, Fontendale Public Library, and of course, the Will County Clerk's Office down in Joliet. Next slide. Again, if we want to do in-person voting and we want to do the old-fashioned go on election day, absolutely available. Hours 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. As long as you are in line by 7 p.m. or at 7 p.m., you may legally vote. If for some reason there is a line of voters and you are not voting at 7 o'clock, don't worry about it. They should send a poll worker and mark the line of who was in line at 7 o'clock. So you may not vote until 7:11, 7:15. That's fine, as long as you were in line by 7 p.m. How do I find my polling location? First place I would look, your voter card, if you happen to have that handy. You can go to either county website to look up. They have voter lookups on each site, or easy one-stop shop, vote411.org will also allow you to find out where your polling location is. And again, just as a reminder, on election day in DuPage County only, you can vote at any DuPage County polling place. Next slide. And now I am going to hand it over to Gail to explain more about our wonderful tool, Vote 411.
Thank you, Anne. The Leah Women Voters Vision Statement reads, "We envision a democracy where every person has the desire, the right, the knowledge, and the confidence to participate." So my question to all of you tonight is, are you prepared to cast your ballot? As Election Day approaches, we want to be sure that you have the knowledge and the confidence to vote in November. And that's where Vote 411 comes in. It can help you check your voter registration status. You can learn about the races and the candidates that are on your ballot. And it can be your source for other election-related information, including checking registration deadlines, finding your polling place, and finding links to candidate forum videos. So I'm just going to take the next couple of minutes and show you where and how to access the information on vote411.org. Okay, let's see, it's not, there we go. So this is a image of the home screen. Let me see if I can back up one. So when you first log in to Vote 411, you'll see this home screen. There's three main buttons. So if somebody wants to just check whether they're registered or not, they would click that first button. And what it does is it links you to the State Board of Elections website. So you're linking to the official website where then you would enter your information and verify your voter registration status. Or if you wanted to register to vote, same thing. That first button is linking you so that you could go enter information and register to vote online. But I'm going to focus on this third option that's circled, and that is find what's on your ballot. Here's where you can learn about the races and the candidates that are going to appear on your ballot. And all the candidates in races impacting both DuPage and Will counties were invited to post their biographical and campaign contact information. Then they were also asked by the League of Women Voters to respond to questions specific to their race. Now, unfortunately, we don't have 100% participation yet, but many candidates have taken the opportunity to speak to us voters via Vote 411. And we hope you're going to find the information helpful as you make your election decisions. So when you click that third button, this pop-up screen will come up and you just merely enter your address. And that is what the system uses to determine which races should appear on your ballot based on the districts that you reside in. And what you'll see next is this screen, which is basically a listing of all of the races that are on your ballot. Now, this isn't a current example, but again, it would list all of the races that are on your ballot. And you can then click on an individual race and it opens up to show you this. So you see the title of the race, you see a description of the office. Sometimes there's salary information when we have access to that. In the case of judicial candidates, we include links to the Illinois State Bar Association's website. So you can review judicial ratings. If there are other important links that provide other information about that particular office, we try to include those. And then if the candidates have responded and posted a photo and included their campaign information, their email addresses, their websites, any social media, that is listed next. And if you were to scroll down further on this screen, you would come to the questions and be able to review the candidates' responses to the questions. So again, that's just, it's off the screenshot on this particular slide. But now, if you want to navigate the ballot, there's a couple different ways you can do that. You can, as you go through and review each race and each candidate, you can make a candidate selection and check the box next to the candidate and say, okay, that's the one I'm going to vote for, and it will automatically advance you to the next race. Or you can merely use links that are at the top of the in the header of the ballot, and that will move you forward and backward through the ballot. For instance, from this page, if you wanted to return to view the DuPage County Regional Superintendent of Schools, you just click that and it'll take you back to the prior race. Or if you wanted to move forward to look at the Appellate Court 3rd Judicial District, you click that and it'll move you forward through the ballot. And if you, before you leave the ballot area, so, as you're working through, let's say you get to the end of the ballot area, I encourage you to scroll down a little further on the page, and there you will find links to the candidate forums. Now, Vote 411 titles it candidate debate videos, but of course we title them candidate forums. So here's where, again, you'll find links to the candidate forums that we've hosted, as well as others that pertain to Will and DuPage County races. And I encourage you to log in, look around on Vote 411 and take a look, navigate. If by chance you see something that doesn't look right on your ballot, maybe there's a race that you were expecting to see there or a ballot measure you were expecting and you don't see it, or there's something there that shouldn't be there, please let me know. I'll have my email address at the end of the presentation. We want to make sure that this is accurate and reflects the official ballots. We do a lot of testing to verify, but we can't test every address. So again, I just encourage you to take a look around. Now, we've talked about the ballot portion of Vote 411, but that's active obviously around campaign or around election season, but Vote 411 is available year-round to answer questions about voting. And back on the homepage for Vote 411, if you scroll down a little bit, you come to this map of the United States. So in addition to the voter guide, you can get general voter information year-round. So maybe you've got kids or grandkids that live in another state and they've got questions about either absentee voting or finding their polling place in their particular state. All you need to do is click on the state, or you can select it from the pull-down menu, and you'll be presented with a list of topics about voting in that particular state. And typically the topic details then link you to that appropriate official state board of elections site for that particular topic in that particular state. So here's an example. I just clicked on Illinois. If we wanted to dig further on Illinois information, the top of the page, again, just reminds you when the next election is. And if there are critical deadlines, for instance, here, the online registration deadline, the mail registration deadline, and in person. And then just below that blue box, you see there's a couple more links. It says more resources. So again, it will link you to find out what's on your ballot, or if you're interested in finding your polling place, or if you need to register, there's a link. It'll take you right to register. And if you were to scroll a little further down on this page, you would get a listing of topics. Again, all different topics about voting in that particular state, in this case, Illinois. And with that, I will turn things back to Anne.
Thanks, Gail. I hope, as everybody heard, Vote 411 is a wonderful tool. It really is a one-stop shop for all of your information from an education point of view and getting familiar with your ballot. This slide, we just wanted to give you a refresher on those key dates. We've passed the last day to register by mail. However, as I said previously, lots of still opportunities to register. Last day to do so online is the 23rd of October. We've got early voting. That'll be from October 24th to November 7th. On November 3rd, it's the official last day to request vote by mail application. However, we encourage everybody to do that 1 week earlier. Again, don't get caught with the U.S. Postal Service. Request that early and then send it back as soon as you can, or drop it in a drop box. And then lastly, the election day is November 8th. You can go in person and you can register in person on that day if you need to. Next slide, please. Here's our PSA for election judges for the 2 counties. They are always looking for new election judges. On the screen, again, you'll see 2 links to places where you can get more information. These are paid positions. You do need to go through training. So these links will also be on that handy dandy worksheet afterward. But if you or anybody you know has interest in being part of day of election, this is a great way of doing it. And we have lots of people within the league that do this and find it very rewarding. Next slide. The next 2 slides are just going to be visuals to get you used to what each county website looks like. So this is DuPage, and this is their landing page for the elections. And the QR code on the right-hand side, again, is just another way to take you to this landing page. Next slide, please. And here's Will County's. Again, their website name, QR code that will take you straight to this landing page. Next slide. And our candidate forums, we're going to give some shout outs to our candidate forums. On October 5th and October 6th, we held 2 forums. The League of Women Voters of Naperville led these. They were very good forums. If you haven't had a chance to watch them, please do so. You can go out to our League of Women Voters of Naperville YouTube channel. They're also on our Facebook page under videos. So take a look at those. We have one more that we are leading on the 13th. That's for the Illinois 21st. So if you have not already registered and are interested, go to our website, lwvnaperville.org, and you can register. It's on the events section. It'll be on the right-hand side of the website on the webpage. And then in the future, we are one of a few DuPage County leagues that are co-sponsoring an event at Cantini called Ready, Set, Vote. And at this event, there will be forums for the DuPage County Board Chair, DuPage County Clerk, and the DuPage County Forest Preserve President. And then also of probably import, because this doesn't always happen each cycle, is there will be a debate, a forum for the Illinois Supreme Court 3rd District, and that's scheduled to start about 2:30. The forums will run anywhere from noon to 5 o'clock. So again, please take a look at these forums, the ones that have been in the past. We also have access. We co-sponsored with the Aurora League and with Central Kane for the 42nd Senate, which touches a little bit of Naperville. That also should be available out through our YouTube channel. So next slide. And with that, we'll open the floor to questions. Both Gail and I are happy to answer. And if we don't know the answer, we will be happy to get back to you. The QR code on the right will just take you straight to the league's website. And please note that we're on most of the popular social media channels.
Gail, if you want to stop sharing your screen so we can see each other. So a little question that I had that someone asked me, if you're a college or university student and you do vote by mail from out of state, do you need to put postage on your vote by mail ballot envelope?
I don't believe you do. I think it is postage paid, period.
I said, when in doubt. She was ready to send stamps. I said, well, when in doubt, you can send the stamps. Do we have any other questions?
I have one.
Marcia.
I wonder if Gail would show us on Vote 411. I know we did it the other day, how to secure a mail-in ballot, like the guy did from Cook County the other day. Which of those 3 things do you check?
And you're muted, Gail, so.
Well, that helps. Let me think here. So he went to, I've got to look at the link. Bear with me a second. Because yeah, so we were at North Central College the other day.
Yeah.
And had a couple people had questions about some wanted to check their voter registration. We helped one young woman check her voter registration in Iowa. Another looked up information about absentee voting in Georgia. But in the case of, okay, let me see if I can share my screen again, and we're going to attempt to do this live and hopefully nothing blows up. So let me move this out of the way. For whatever reason, I'm not seeing the green bar that normally tells me which screen I'm sharing. Do you see the Vote 411 home screen?
Yes.
Yeah, we do.
Okay. So here's again the home screen, and we talked about that, finding what's on your ballot. But in this case, we would scroll down to the map. You can either click here or select Illinois from the drop down. But if we select Illinois, and it brings us to this screen where we find out, what our next race is. And then he was interested in the absentee ballot process and requesting. So the last day to request an absentee ballot. So here's the link that he clicked.
Okay.
And now he fills out information and, based on his address then and birth date, alternate contact, home address. And that would then, again, I won't be filling it out, but there's, I'm not sure how many screens he had to go through. But that's where you find the absentee or vote by mail information. So again, it all starts with that map.
Yes.
On Vote 411. And sorry to make you dizzy. Starts with the map. And then it takes you to the listing of all the different topics. So again, here I mentioned, if you have questions about drop boxes or early voting, if somebody isn't certain about ID needed for voting, poll worker information, all that. Your polling place locator. Here's another one that a couple people had questions about. You click this, and again, it's going to take you to your state resource, and you enter your zip code, and again, it'll ask you then for your address information and take you then and tell you where your polling place is. So again, it's not doing it on the site itself, it's linking you to the necessary location on your state site. All right.
Okay, thanks, Gail. I know that guy from Cook County came back and told us he was very successful, and he was so excited that he was able to do it. So,
Right. And actually, there were a couple of Cook County voters that we came across that day. Yep.
Do we have any other questions this evening? You can just unmute and ask, or you can put something in the chat. Well, I think we had a very friendly audience today, but I hope even this friendly audience learned a lot about voting. If you enjoyed this event and appreciate our work, if you're not already a member of the League, I hope you'll consider joining us. Tomorrow at 7, as was mentioned, is our candidate forum for the 21st Illinois Senate. You can still register on our website even tomorrow. It should be very interesting. That the candidate forums are one of the reasons I joined the League. It is a great way to learn and be an educated voter. Next month at our Ideas Forum on Wednesday, November 9th, we'll focus on affordable housing. In addition, I want to remind everybody that on October 25th at 7 p.m., we'll be having an event called Uncensored. If you're concerned about book banning and censorship in public school libraries, this should be great. We have a number of experts who will tell us about the issues, the whys, and the wherefores. This is co-sponsored by your league, the AEUW Naperville area, NCJW Chicago North Shore, and Illinois Now. And once again, thank you everyone for joining us this evening. Have a great evening.
Go
And thank
vote.
you, Gail and Ann.
you.
And vote. Thank you.